Hi everyone, welcome to the latest and greatest episode. Today I've had the pleasure of sitting down with Matt Marlinski, the co-founder of the production studio, The Manhattan Lab. In this episode, we talk about the art of podcasting and how it's been lost, as well as the idea of practicing your craft and making your way through tough times as a creator and entrepreneur. I hope you learn as much from this episode as I have. Look who it is.
Wow.
1 year later.
Wow.
Literally 1 year and 1 month later. How crazy is that?
Man.
From last year, what has happened? I feel like the studio has exploded. You have so many exciting things going on. So I first want to dive into that because it was like last year you were still finding your footing a little bit. Now I feel like shit's popping off.
Yeah, it's been a year. I mean, I fucking practically live here. I'm like a fucking cave dweller in here. I've been here all day. I barely see the sun. I'm like, ugh. But it's been great. I mean, we really just took it day by day and slow, and we've been building a great studio here. And I mean, we're constantly booked. I mean, I have a lot of shows that I'm doing now. We have shows in-house that we do. I don't think when we did the first one, Colin was hired, and now we have Colin.
Yeah, no, Colin wasn't here.
Shout
out Colin. He's behind the camera.
He's my guy. Colin's a great example of like, listen, if you want to go do something, go do it. You can just go do things because he wasn't really like trained up and we trained him up and now he's fucking rocking it. Now I'm having him produce his own show. So you can just do things, friends. But that. And then so like, it's really like the thing about the studio is, without getting all the details behind the scenes here, but like it's hard to market for a couple of reasons. So like we really are going by word of mouth. So I'm not doing big like Instagram marketing or I'm not like pushing it out everywhere, but it's kind of like slowly but surely. And there's this really fun effect happening where people are like, yeah, I'm just like scrolling X or I'm on like Instagram and I see your studio. And it's like really cool.
Yes. And sometimes when I've brought guests here, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the studio. This is the studio that's in the background of Anthony's videos, Jordy's videos, everyone's videos. So it's just really, it's really cool.
It's fascinating to see when people see it on their timeline. So like, for instance, like Natalie Brunell, who does a Bitcoin podcast, she comes in, we'll book the afternoon. And then some people go like, oh, that's Natalie's studio. It's like, okay. So like
the disrespect. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. That's Claire's studio, so it's Tim's studio or it's whoever uses it now. So it's like, that's pretty cool. So it's been like a slow drip, but really like nothing sexy about it just in terms of like just day to day. I mean, the cool part is that's growing. The non-sexy part is I'm just like really working a lot. So it's like I probably have taken care of myself the best in the past year. And I haven't probably seen my friends as much as I wanted to. Probably haven't seen his family as much as I wanted to. I've probably been a huge fucking selfish narcissist in the past year. But I'm grinding and building, baby.
But is it worth it?
That's a good question. I think the way I look at it, I don't know if anything's worth it really. Like we all end up at the same place. But I think I sort of recognize that I'm just in like this period where like everything's kind of happening. Right? Like, and I say like, listen, am I turning the dial too much and like working and not like doing other personal things more, like developing other relationships more, seeing family as much? Sure. But I could also remember times where like I was seeing family a lot and friends a lot and like things weren't going as well for me in career or they were, but like, so like the way I look at it, and maybe it's intellectual, maybe it's cope, but I just look at it as like I'm in a period of time of next 2-3 years where just got to go and things are happening and things are moving and I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years. You just don't know. So it's like, just do it now and build. And at some point I'll probably collapse, but I haven't collapsed yet. Kind of close.
Okay, Slay. But how do you, I guess this is a question I think all entrepreneurs are asked. So maybe this is a bit generic, but how do you know when it's time to just, let go in both ways? So let go of the urge to hang out with your family or your significant other for your company or your organization versus the other way around. How do you find that balance?
Yeah. Well, balance definitely doesn't exist. I mean, if you want balance, go get a 9-to-5, right? Like it's impossible. Like, so if you want to build something and then you can say, hey, cool, I want to be more balanced. But then, there's people around you that are all doing more, right? Like, yeah, I have a lot of great shows doing well, but other shows are doing better.
Yeah. Alex Karp literally said, no one who's successful works a 9-to-5.
I mean, again, like that goes to we probably had this last card. What's success? And that's a self-defining thing. But like plenty of great people who would work 9-to-5s. But if you want something like spectacular and different and stand out, then like you have to do it.
But how do you know when it's the right thing?
So yeah, it's interesting because there's been times, I think I talked about our last pod where like there's been times where I've been doing video most of my life, but it hasn't really been until the past like year and a half where it really crystallized, like I'm doing this pod thing and I'm producing and I'm doing the studio thing and like all these little like ingredients in a dish kind of came together and it's like, this is my thing. But I was doing video for years not knowing what the fuck I was doing. I was filming events and I was filming concerts and I was doing product videos and I was doing random editing and I was always like, cool, I'll get paid to do it, but like this isn't the thing. Like, so a lot of things end up being very intuition for me, at least. Like when you know, mm-hmm. And so like I'm gonna go, oh, this is like the light bulb moment. Like everything that I've done in my life has sort of like combined into this thing, and I'm the best at it. And like so that's also like there's a feedback loop of like not only do I think it's good, but also like I'm getting the sort of validation, like, oh, you're really good at this. Like the sort of free market universe of it all. It's like, no, you're good at this. So like. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you just go to sleep. Like if it's not the right thing with you, spiritually or morally, like that's always something you have to think about. Like, and I always sort of question if I'm on the right path just because I'm on me. Sometimes I question like the groups I'm around just because like you get into all these subsectors of groups like producing their pods or you're in their circles and like are these kind of my people or like. So I have had a ton of inbound people in the past year come my way, and I've probably put trust in people I probably shouldn't have, and so like there's been like that. So there's a soul searching of like. Whom I want to be around and how do I want to present myself. But I think you sort of like have a gut feeling when you're sort of like on sort of a right path. And it's hard to like, you can't really like spreadsheet it. You just kind of know.
Yeah. I mean, okay. If I'm being honest, you are infinitely steps ahead of me. So mm-hmm. I interviewed last year. Mm-hmm. You were my first guest. Mm-hmm. And if I'm being honest, like, it's like, I love doing this podcast. It's so much fun. I learn a lot. I love who I meet. My goal, you gave me the advice that the goal shouldn't be just to grow, because if you're doing it for the sole reason of monetization or growth, you're going to burn out mm-hmm. because it's not an actual passion. How do you balance your passion versus what you're good at? Because sometimes your passion isn't necessarily what you're good at. Not to say I'm like good or bad at podcasting. I think I have so much mm-hmm. to learn. I'm not the best, but like at what point would you be like, all right, Claire, it's time to hang it up?
Well, your first question I would say about like passion and this is very Scott Galloway-ish, but like Scott Galloway talks about how like you get a passion by becoming competent at something. Like if you become like the best at a certain of your craft, and like that becomes your passion because you're the best at it, and people want you and need you for a skill. Like my first passion was music. Like I wanted to be a musician. That was like my passion was a kid. I had like a real like decision making point when I was like in late 20s when I was like, I think I'm more naturally better at the video thing, and I'm actually getting paid to do more, and I'm more in demand for the video stuff. Like it's like it was this interesting bifurcation where I could have went down the music path, and the video kind of took over. But so I think like, and like I didn't grow up thinking I was gonna be a podcast producer. It didn't fucking exist, right? Yeah. But like it ended up being the confluence of all the things that sort of combined, like I said in the pod. But I didn't think this was gonna be the thing. I didn't think my whole thing with production. But then when I look back and I go to look at all my interests. And I put them in what we do nowadays. And it's like, oh, I love like media and I love entertainment and I love producing and I love shows and I love culture and the zeitgeist and, entertainment. And like, I just love all these things. So it's like, it makes total sense because like, and it's been who I am forever. So, but getting back to you, what's cool is like, and what I'm happy I got to do with your pod is like, I like to give people a space to create. That's one of the things I enjoy the most about this. I remember being a creative or want to make things, and you just want people to sort of believe in you and give you like a platform and a space and an area to do it and to work sort of non-judgmentally.
Yeah.
And so like if I can give someone like you like a world-class studio and go like just work and just find your way and just practice and crash into walls a little bit and do like, oh, that interview was stupid, that sucked, and like this one was better, but there has to be a thing where you also have to take it very seriously. So like a bit of a thing that I tend to like grandstand on a bit because like people don't respect the craft of things enough these days, and so like the big thing I am at is like respect the craft. Like if you're new at some like podcast interview, everyone's just grabbing mics and fucking interviewing. Like great, cool.
Everyone has a mic these days.
Everyone does.
What's the worst thing you could see? A white man with a microphone? No,
another white boy with a podcast. Yes, it's a skill that you have to work on, and it's a craft. And interviewing people is hard. Like we used to have only like a few people in the whole country that did. We used to have Diane Sawyer. Like
yeah,
the best of the best used to do it. Like I tell people, everyone wants to start a podcast. I'm like, you're a radio show host, and now everyone's just grabbing a mic and do a podcast. Cool. but there's few people I see who actually like respect it and try to get better at the craft and like work on their skills and hone it. So when I see people who I see like approach it and learn, it's really cool. So, and then like you have to approach it like it's just a skill. It's no different than learning piano or learn how to cook or something. You just take out time and learn, and then you go, oh, I've been doing this for a year and I'm much better. So I think you could be a testament to like, you've been doing it for a year. I'm sure you're much better.
I was looking at my interviews. Your interview, it was very natural because it was, I know you, I feel very comfortable with you. So it's a lot more conversational. But I feel like in other interviews, I was watching the interview of the first guest that I didn't know really well, and I'm just mumbo jumbo over words. I feel like a robot. And sometimes I still have those moments come back, for sure. Very guilty. But it's definitely a muscle you have to work. It feels like over and over again. And also, one thing that I really liked that you said to me, which is resonates very strong with me to this day, is just put it out. Like, stop overthinking it. Just do it. I was like, I remember when I told you I wanted to start one, you go, okay, why? And then I was like, oh, I want to learn and blah, 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 all this stuff. And you said, okay. And I said, I'm just going to wait until I'm good enough. You're like, 1 second. And I was like, I just need to wait until this moment. And you explained to me, you said you could spend all the time in the world to find every single excuse in the world for why you won't be good enough at something to do it. But confidence comes from doing. So just do it. And I just did it. And here we are. And now, and honestly, that your advice helped me so much in getting, I wouldn't say I have the utmost confidence in myself, but it helped me a lot because now I'm able to do my anti-brain rot series in practice with what I learned here. And I just always remember what you say, which is like, confidence comes from doing. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And especially I feel like in now the age of, I would argue it seems like a very quantity heavy age. You don't have the time to overthink everything that you're putting out there, you know?
Yeah, we're in the slop age. So there's things everywhere.
A little bit sloppy.
But yeah, so I mean, it's, like if anyone's in your situation, it's like bad news. You gotta press publish, or there's no different when I used to practice guitar in my bedroom. It's like until you get on stage and play in front of people, you're in the wild, anything can happen. In a podcast form, you're talking to someone and the guest is giving you nothing and you go, oh shit, what do I do? Like you have to like learn how to think on the fly. And so there is that sort of live component to it. And you just have to do it. And so
I think I vulnerably with you, I have been frustrated and honestly slightly envious because I have so many people I've seen around me who have started podcasts who crush it overnight. LJ, for example, shout out Nothing's Off the Table. I absolutely love his podcast and he's blown up overnight and I'm so proud of him and he's absolutely incredible. But I'm also like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So this advice only isn't only for me, but also for maybe other people who are dealing with that same issue. How do you find what works for you and just keep going at it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the good news, bad news about content these days is like you have to really kind of hone in on what you're doing, right? Like if you're just like an everything pod, like it doesn't really work these days. So, which is
it is
which is annoying. Listen, I don't like that, and YouTube will sometimes say like, no, we want people to do everything on their channel. Not true. So like LJ is a good example. He hosts a pod like about recovery, and these are alcoholics and gambling addicts and drug addicts, like, and they're telling really raw, real stories, like. You couldn't do that pod. Vulnerable. I couldn't do that pod. Like I'd be
out of a job.
That it's a lot. So it's like, but okay. But then look at his story. I mean, look at what he went through, and look at like all like the shame of his addiction problems and what he went through. Like that's his own story. Like you can't copy that, right? It's like, and by the way, like neither can I. Like nor do I want to. It sounds terrible. Like we have people like like our buddy here works here, Phil Rosen just launched a pod, but like his whole thing is like. He has a thing called Opening Bell Daily, which is just stock market and Wall Street. And like, that's his thing. So he's not going to talk about the football game last night. Right. So it's like, and I think for you, and I think for people who's discovering it is like, you just have to go on the path a little bit. And there is a bit of a skewed sense of when someone starts something, it becomes really big instantly. And like, well, I don't have that. It's like, depends on what you're doing, the zeitgeist, what's in demand, if like the talent level. So it's like, if anything, at least what you can do is take some time and like learn. We tend to forget that all these shows that got really big, especially like in like sort of like the early stages of podcasts where it's the Joe Rogans of them all to going forward. It's like they were just doing this for like years. Like no one even know what they're talking about. Like, and so it's like we are living in this really skewed world, and like some of it's really fake and annoying where like people are just like trying to get guests and they're not really building a pod or a show. They're just getting people on the show. And so
It sounds like it's just, I've seen the trend a couple times where we have someone who becomes internet famous overnight. Like, for example, Haley Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl.
Yeah.
She launched a podcast and she got the most incredible guest. And I was like, but
I know.
Do I just need to say something controversial on the internet? And then she
crypto scammed everyone.
She crypto scammed everyone, obviously. So that led to a downfall. But I guess it's.
I'm always pretty weary of instant success, right? Like, it's cool in the moment. Wow, she got big by saying something on the streets, and she got big and like became a national story, and it's a meme and everything. But like, then that person went from just like a regular citizen to every management team and talent team hounding her to do things, and she's getting thrown all over the place. And then we got to start a pod. Oh, I got this crypto coin, and then she's like, I don't know what I did. I'm so sorry to all my fans out there. I just trying. And you're like, oh my God, she just got thrown into the mess of it all. That I don't know. Like, would you want that?
No.
So it's like be careful what you wish for. Like, like we would all want something really quickly. Like, I don't make my own content. Like, it's hard, but sort of like if you don't have it yet, then at least go on the journey and try to find it. Yeah. And see how long it takes.
Yeah, and I think my brain, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of other people, it's like we are programmed to believe instant gratification. There's a reason why Gen Z believes they need to have a $550,000 salary
nice money
to be happy.
Yeah,
it's because we get confused and surprised when we graduate. What do you mean things are expensive? What do you mean you're not going to pay me $500,000 per year? What do you mean I can't get 1 million followers overnight on Instagram? I have all these people selling me courses, telling me how easy it is, how they got their business to 5 million ARR within 2 seconds. So it feels like we live in the era of shortcuts, but I don't necessarily blame people for thinking they can take them when it's been marketed to them their entire lives that those shortcuts exist for everyone versus just a couple of people.
Yeah, especially if you're working a regular job, it's grabbing a microphone and yapping and saying stupid shit and getting views sounds a lot more appealing, right? Well, that sounds fun.
So what we've talked a little bit about podcasts. What's the biggest change you've seen in the podcast landscape? I thought it was very interesting because during COVID, every man and their mother grabbed a microphone, right? And then it feels like there was kind of the decreased a little bit, and then it feels like now it's back in full swing. Why is that?
2 things. One, I definitely think we're hitting like a sort of a massive, everyone wants to do a pod, but I think the metrics of success are much different. So like I think when they were starting a pod in maybe COVID days, they wanted to be like a Joe Rogan style where they're going to the top of the charts. Now people are finding that the pods are serving them in different ways. So I have plenty of people who want to do pods. They either I produce them or they record here, and they're not getting really great numbers, and they might not ever get great numbers, but it leads to so many different things. So if they're an entrepreneur, they do it for their business. They get to get people in here who like work in their field, and they get to get them in the chair. And it's like really this thing where people will do a pod and they'll ask, like, it's easier to get the guest on the pod than like to ask them for coffee. Right. So like weirdly, like, if you're trying to like get people on the pod.
It's become like a business. Actually, yeah, if you think about it, because it gives them media share. A high quality studio, video content is very important to a lot of people these days.
And everyone's just becoming like an extended media company. So if you have these people all in like and then they hit in your studio, they go out and like they go hit the internet, and like it just looks like it looks bigger than it is. So, I've been on my new trend this year has just been like everything's just vibes. So the traditional media sort of trajectory is you have to get views, a lot of views consistently, and then you're a big show. Now you're finding with everything going viral quickly, like in a TikTok fashion, happens a lot of X, which I tend to spend a lot of my time on. People go viral instantly and sort of take over the timeline for the day. And so like there's shows that are like I look at a show like TPPN who just got started in the past year, and they're all over the place because they sort of like hack the timeline. But if you were looking at their metrics, like from like a traditional metric standpoint, like they're TPPN. It's a tech media show. They do a live show every day, and they've completely took over the timeline on X, and then they've grown on YouTube as well. But they've done a big thing. They almost sold like the show being bigger than it was, like earlier than it actually being as big as it was. So it's like, but what that is like people hit the timeline with these clips and like these certain ways of hitting different apps and timelines, and then you sort of like take on the news or the timeline for the day, which is pretty fascinating because then you're not necessarily like the biggest show ever, but like you're in the zeitgeist, you're in people's purview. So like So like the vibe of being a big show is almost more important than being a big show, which is weird because like at some point, not everyone's going to get the big numbers, but can you get a decent amount of numbers, but like people keep seeing you, right? Like it's an interesting thing. So I'm seeing people get deals with like not that many views, but they're getting like great deals and they're getting partnerships and they're getting like all these things. So it really is like like it's hard to gauge like what success is anymore because and the numbers are so skewed. Like I can tell you that like a show of mine's doing 1 million views a month on YouTube. And like that's not even impressive anymore to people. It's like, oh, well, this guy does 20 million. This guy does this. Like, and so it's weird. Like the numbers are so weird these days.
And what have you learned from your guests that you've worked with? Not your guests, the people you worked with, your clients. I feel like you've worked with a lot of very impressive people. What are the most prominent characteristics about the most impressive people you work with? Oh,
they're working a lot harder than anyone else is. I mean, you know, they're if you think you're working hard, they're working harder than you. That's usually the case. So much of what I do is like the inbounds of like I have to deal with personalities all day and people, so it's part therapy. So I'm kind of meeting people where they are and trying to hit their goals and their objectives. I always say that my favorite thing about what I do is actually off camera. Like, so you get to see people for what they really are.
Okay.
So,
and have people mainly impressed you or disappointed you?
I'm not usually impressed by people most of the time I see them. And so let me quantify that. Sounds like that sounds mean, but like people are just people, and people are playing characters online. I always say everything's pro wrestling, so everyone's playing a character online. They're putting themselves up, and then you walk in the room and they're like, "Oh, that's you." Like, not to be mean, like she's like, they're just people. They're just people kind of bumbling in from the streets. Their train was late. They grabbed the coffee on the way in, and maybe they have a person with them. Maybe they don't. They couldn't find the door. Like they're just like, oh, that's you. And so it happens a lot, especially with like internet personalities, especially people who are more anon online. So that's that phenomenon. But actually, it's my favorite thing because you get to see people for what they are. And so like I don't put anyone on a pedestal. I don't really like it. It caused me to judge people a lot less. Like I kind of meet them where they're at. Like I know they're humans, and even if they're extremely talented in a certain domain, like they're still all kind of messed up and they're doing something fucked up in their home life, or someone's mad at them, or they fucked up at work. And so it's just like it's a real like level playing field. And there's that cool feeling where someone walks in and you go, oh, that's you. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you've seen all characters.
Yeah, like the famous one recently, we got Bernie Sanders coming here. And you're just
and
like,
how is he?
It's awesome. He's like, fucking Bernie. Like I don't like he's the kind of guy like even if you don't agree with his politics, is like Bernie, and that guy's been like even about consistency. He's been like reading his book forever. Like, he's just like that. Bernie is Bernie. Like he does his thing. So it's cool. You just sort of see like, oh yeah, he's just a guy who comes in and does a pod, and he was tired. He came from a bunch of events that day, and he had people following around and catering to him, and so it's actually kind of fun. It sounds weird. It sounds very anticlimactic. But like I always say my favorite part is behind the scenes, because like people ask me a lot like, what's like, do you see all these pods? What's the favorite pod you had recently? And like, truthfully, like there's so much things that comes in and out every day. Like my brain turns into mush. I'm like, what did we just talk about? So like there is a thing of like, but what I always remember is I enjoy talking to people off the camera and like having a conversation with them and just meeting them as people. And the takeaway here is just like, you know, especially when everyone's like mad at each other all the time and fighting and there's all this tension everywhere. It's just like, it's nice to meet people for what they are in person, and the guard goes down, the persona goes down, I'm someone on X with 50,000 followers goes away, or I have 500K on Instagram goes away. It's like, you're just a dude or a gal, and here you are in my studio, and you know, they're sort of looking at the monitor that's right here, and they're like, they're touching themselves up and like, oh, do I look good? And like humans.
So I guess no, I think that's actually, I know you said that's anticlimactic, but I think it's the opposite. It's you realize everyone's a human being and everyone has really deep insecurities. Like I feel like my thought process whenever I meet someone who I idolize or I look up to, if I ever get the chance to get to know them and I'm like, oh, you are a human being. I'm inspired by them, but viewing them as a god or someone who's completely above me kind of goes out the window.
Most people do one thing really well and that's it. Right? Like they're a great musician, they're a great writer, they're a great CEO.
Yeah.
And like the rest of their life, they're kind of fumbling around. Maybe there's a few other things they do. Maybe they do jujitsu on the side, or maybe they're a marathon runner, or maybe they're the best aunt of all time or uncle of all time. But like really people like aren't, like, they're just kind of like bumbling outside of like their regular life. They're not that great at a lot of things, right? Like their wife gets mad at them for something. So people are really capable of being spectacular at one, maybe like a 1A thing, but for the most part,
But I feel like that's probably that's the special skill, right? Like that you were talking about earlier, is find that thing that you're good at.
That's the great journey of life. Some people know right away if you're Taylor Swift, you were born and you said, I want to be a musician, and you went to Nashville and a teenager and went off and did your thing. If you're someone like me at 37, you fucking crashed into the wall 50 times and you fell off a cliff another couple times and you scratched and clawed and you didn't know what the hell you're doing most of the time, and you sort of find your way.
So being someone who is currently scratching and clawing and very much finding their way, I feel like very openly in every aspect of my life, I wouldn't say I have anything figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where I want to be in 10 years. Shit, I don't know what I'm eating tomorrow. You know what I mean? What's some advice that you have for someone or anyone in my position?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a person, I'm very intuition based, which most men probably won't say, but like I'm very intuition based. Right? I just follow something that I'm interested in, right? Like,
but I'm interested in everything. That's the problem. It's like I want to do everything all the time, all at once.
Yeah. Well, that also like that gets back to what I said earlier about finding your passion with, and it combines with the market data of it all. So like you're going to start doing things as you go along. Oh, like I seem to excel the most in that. Like people seem to respond the most when I do this thing, right? Like, and so like, for instance, like I don't have like, when I edit a video, I don't have imposter syndrome because I've edited thousands of videos, got thousands of feedback of like, oh, this is really, you're good at what you do. Even if like, I'm not their style, but like, so like there's enough data points where like, I'm not like, oh, I'm not good at what I do. I've had so much market data to tell me like I'm at least competent in it. So I think like you start to sort of get this little market data of, oh, like I did that well and respond to that. And like, it's not all like it's in a work setting. It could be in the personal settings. If you're the good friend that like you listen to people really well and you're an empath, well, that's something like it's a personality trait. Like if you're the one who cooks for everyone, but it's like, I just do something to maybe like you want to be a cook, or a chef or something like that. Like it's just like these random things that you do really well that you don't even realize that you do really well. And people say, like, I love when Claire does this. Right. So it's like trying to find that market data that relates to whatever you're doing with work. All I can say to people is like, if you would have told me this was going to be my future 10 years ago, I would have never believed you. So like nothing was even on the radar of what I'm doing right now.
So it's also important to stay open-minded.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's this graph that went viral on Twitter that I saw. It was basically there's one path A to Z and there's one perspective. A to Z is one path. And then the other perspective is that it's like endless channels of different opportunities on different points of how you get from A to Z. And sometimes it might not even be A to Z. It might be like D to F but regardless, that's the end state. But having the resilience and the open-mindedness to at least explore those other options is really important.
Just follow the light. See what's kind of like getting you interested. Like, when I first started working with Anthony Pompliano, who's now, I can call him a friend, business partner, really cool. Like I just wanted to get interested in finance and I just learned on my own. And then like, I didn't think I was going to work in the finance field, like doing, like most of our podcasts are finance based now. Like what? Like I was like the artist playing music with fucking tattoos. What happened? Like, so it's like, it's random. Like but that was like a pure, just like, I wanted to follow something and learn it. And, I end up meeting some people in the tech space in the past. You're like, what? Like I'm the creative type. How this happened? So it really comes from these like little just interests. And like you can sit there and go, well, I don't know. I'm not doing that. I would argue you're doing that every fucking day. Like I see you first of all, you moved to New York City. Second of all, you have your job today is different than it was a year ago. Third of all, I know you go to events all the time and speak to people all the time. Then you had a podcast. We've had how many episodes now? Like 20 to 30 episodes now. So you've interviewed all these people. So like, and that's just in a year, right? So you do have to like sit back a little bit. Okay, I've learned all this, learned this. Now you're running an AI company. Like you're working with this AI company before you're a chief of staff. That's crazy, right? Like in a year, that's crazy. Like that's completely different. So maybe that's your thing. Maybe you go down more the media route. Maybe you follow something else. But I think that's all you can really do. You just sort of go to the open road and say, like, I'm kind of interested in doing this. Maybe I'm going to go to the event because I'm kind of interested in it, right? Like, and the road is filled with just so much fucking like just face plants and embarrassment. And like even this past year, like I've fucked up so many times this past year, and I've ruined things, and I've fucked up business relationships, and like I've fucked up a lot of things this past year, like a lot. And so like never ends.
But how do you get over that? The shame of
severe
it,
self-hatred and depression.
The guilt or the shame of it all. I mean, that has to pass, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say it now, but like I'm pretty hard on myself at the time. But what I do is I don't.
Very hard on yourself. We talked about this last year.
I did. Hasn't changed at all.
You were like, let me just grab a baseball bat and take a swing at myself.
Yeah. Well, I always say like my creativeness is the beauty and a curse, where it's like it's the thing that allows me to create and make a cool studio and edit cool videos and produce shows. But it's the thing that just like ruins things sometimes for me. Like it just fucking ruins things. Like I'd react to something some way and I have an emotional outburst and I like talk to someone a certain way, or like I ruin some business thing, or like talking to someone maybe romantically, like, and you just fucking blow it and you're like, oh my God. So like it's tough. So like it's this beauty and curse of things where like it's like I feel like I'm a ticking time bomb at all the times, where I'm like I can do all these amazing things someday, and then like the next day I'm just fucking gonna blow it up. And so like it's always like trying to like tame the beast. And I think I actually do a pretty damn good job these days, like all things considered.
And how have you gotten better at that? What are things that you do to get better at that?
You sort of have to like if Mel Robbins has the 5-second rule or of like to go into action, mine's almost like to like disengage. Sometimes like if I'm about to type something on Slack real quick, I go stop. It's actually I always tell people, like when I work with Anthony, or Pomp as everyone knows him, one of the most profound things he told me wasn't like, hey, here's how you invest in Bitcoin or this thing. He like recognized really quickly in the first 6 months we were working together, like I was really emotional. And he's like, you gotta like work on that. Like you gotta chill out. And I was like, oh, the way he said it was like, it's so like basic what he said, but it was so like profound. And I was like, oh, but then you're also fighting against your DNA and some things that are hard coded and hardwired. That's, so we all have our like our tripwires. But mostly it tends to be being like, I'd like sort of like disengage, like almost like stay really quiet and walk away kind of thing. But,
Yeah, I would say I feel like everyone has a set of tripwires, and in today's society, I think we like to pretend that we don't, but everyone does. Let's be honest. Yeah. Everyone has something that pisses them off or makes them really upset or triggers them or makes them absolutely lose their mind. So it's a human reaction.
Yeah, true.
And in regards to when you see guests sit down with one another, guests sit down with the host, give me the key components of what makes a really good conversation. Because you see conversations happen all the time.
There is like a synergy of like, it has to be the person has to ask the questions, and the person who's the guest has to be open to answering the questions. So even if you're doing this pod for a year, it's like some people just like give you nothing. Like,
and then
so
I walk away feeling disappointed because I said, was I not a good enough person to get them to open up, or what? I put all the blame on me, but I mean, not to say there should be blame on anyone. It's not like you're a horrible person, you are a bad guest, but not everyone is meant to or feels comfortable with being on camera.
Yeah, so it's and I think actually like the big thing more than like the question themselves is the environment people sit in. It's like something I'm really proud of this studio is when people come in here, they feel like very comfortable, right? Like they walk in like from like the cold New York City streets. They come in here, you're in like this big corporate capitalist building, and you come in here and you're just like, it's kind of chill in here, right? And so the beauty of the Rogans of the world, the Howard Sterns of the world is like when they walk into that room, like they allow people to go to a different place. So if people go on Rogan's show, whether you like them or not, take that all out. People sit there for 2-3 hours and just like open up. Right. So they're allowed to like, they create an environment that gets the person really comfortable to like sit there. And like that deals with, that's a lot on the host too. Like the host has to be like, create a space like it's very comfortable for them to sit in. And so like a lot of it's not the questions you ask, it's the environment you set. Right. So you do have to worry about like the aesthetics of your room and like how people feel. Like if you notice like people come in, I give them water right away. I make sure they sit comfortably and like they take a second, take a breather, and like they can see their shot on the camera. There's a monitor right here for everyone at home. They can see their shot and like they're not concerned like, oh, do I look good? Do I look bad? And like so they can sit here comfortably and go, okay, now I can do a pod.
Yeah, and I've seen you do it with some of my guests. You're just like, okay, it's all right. It's like deep breaths. You're good. Colin says the same thing. You're good. It's all good.
My Jedi, he learned.
Young Padawan.
Yeah, that's that. But it is really important. It's like so much. Again, no different than you say. Like, what's the most important things guests say on camera? I go, well, actually, what's happening off camera? So it's all the off camera stuff, like how you make someone feel comfortable. Because being on camera can be uncomfortable for people, but being in front of microphones can be difficult for people. So, and also then there's the questions of it. Like there's obviously the whole thing with questions, and you try to find create an environment, ask questions that will elicit different answers out of it, but it also depends what kind of pod you're hosting. That gets a little more into the weeds.
So for people who don't have podcasts, but overall just want to become better conversationalists, what are tips they could take from some of the best hosts on
shut up and listen, like I didn't do right there. See how I interrupted you? Shut up and listen. One of my clients, Julia LaRoche, she gets compliments all the time. Be like, oh my God, you're such a good host. She's like, I asked 3 questions at interview because I just sat there and talked to these people. And these are like, she does a finance show called the Julia LaRoche Show. She's so good. She just talks about macro finance, and like she has these legends on who like get interrupted on CNBC all the time in Fox Business, and like she's like, tell me about the economy, and they took 10 minutes to answer it, but like she let them go, and they're like, wow, I got to talk. Like, stop interrupting, listen to your guest, just shut the fuck up. Like, so there's a lot of that. It's easier said than done because we all want to talk and do our thing. But that's the number one thing. And if you look at anyone who's doing it, they're such good listeners, and they're just constantly taking in input. Like, I think like Chris Williamson's one of the best. He was in my studio obviously recently, but he's so good at just like listening and like taking in information and responding. But that's reps. He's done 1,000 episodes at this point, right? Like, so there's a good like perspective, right? I've done 30 episodes. This person did 1,000. And usually when I tell people when they start a pod, I go do 100, then come talk to me, right? So again, skill acquisition, very underrated term these days. Everyone just does things. I'm going to pick up a camera and go. I'm going to start a social media thing and go. I'm going to start a podcast and go. I'm going to become popular through a meme and then start a podcast. Like, there's a craft in skill acquisition and respecting it. And like, let's respect the people that came before us and like study. Go study Diane Sawyer. Like, seriously, like, go watch how she interviewed people. Like, it's just these are legends. And they're like one of my favorite guests I've had in the studio was Rosanna Scotto, who we both know.
Love.
Yeah, she's a Fox 5 legend. Like, that's someone who's been in the industry for 30, 40 years, like just like a legend, and just like learn the craft and is the expert at the craft. And so go study the greats.
And what do you think has been lost in the art of conversation?
I guess 2 things. One, there's so many podcasts that are just trying to get like moments for clips. So it's not really it's a fake conversation, right? And then I think everyone's just selfish and narcissistic and just out for their own, right? Like, if you're the host of the show, you're actually not the star of the show. Your guest is the star of the show. Like, yes, your name's on the banner, and in most shows their name's on the banner, but you're not the star of the show. Your guest's the star of the show. So just remember that. And listen, I don't know, like, if you're doing a podcast, you don't want to listen to people. What the fuck are you doing? Go do something else. The fuck? Like, you don't have to do a podcast. Well, like, don't listen. So
do one of the self-recorded ones.
There's a lot of people where I'm like, they start a pod. Like, why? Which like goes in like to the zeitgeist trend of it all. Like, it's the thing to do, but it's not the thing. We'll see. I'm interested to see how it goes in the next couple of years, where like the trend dies away and who's kind of left, kind of thing.
And I feel like also part of good conversation is good storytelling. Do you think the storytelling aspect is mainly on the host to help curate it, or the guest to help explain?
Yeah, the host has to curate. You have to drive the car a little bit, right? If you have an expert on geopolitics and you ask them what their favorite restaurant in Tuscany is, then like, okay, like, well, it could be cool, but like, is that where you wanted to go? Yeah. So you do have to craft it. But so that's where it goes. Like, if you're crafting a show, like, what's the show's purpose? What are we here to do? What's like the mission statement, right? Like, if you're doing a finance show, you're not going to talk about philosophy, which kind of sucks. I mean, you can get a little bit of philosophy, but it's like your whole thing is like, what's the show here to serve? What's the purpose? What do you want someone to walk away from feeling? If you go into a pod or you host a show knowing what the purpose of the show is, for the most part, then it makes it much easier. I watch sports pods. I like my wrestling pods. I know what we're here to do here. We're here to like talk about wrestling. We're not here to do anything else.
It feels like there's a lot of niches coming up.
Yeah, the whole world, everything's a niche. For better or worse. I mean, I still really love radio shows that just talk about everything. It's one thing I don't love about YouTube, in the sense where it's like you have to be so honed in. And you're doing 1,000, like, you see it all the time. Someone gets into a niche for like, oh my God, I love watches. And they start making watch content. Then they're like, oh my God, I've made 500 fucking watches about videos about watches, and I can't do this anymore. And then they burn out and they quit. Right. So that happens.
Yeah, that happened to me. I did that with educational content on politics. And that's why I was so burnt out. It was because it was exhausting. But I tried to pivot into other things, and the audience, the algorithm completely rejected it.
Yeah.
Like, no, you need to be doing this. This is it.
It's how people get lost in the sauce, right? Like you saw it at like a lower form, but like I think about people who are really big personalities on these social media platforms. I see it more on X these days, but people just become, it's like the Kanye West of it all. It's the Jordan Peterson of it all, where you're so deep into your like online character that you just become just an other person. You're not even you're not even yourself anymore, right? So you see people get lost in their character online, and I can see that. It's like you could have easily done that, where you go, I do this politics stuff, but now I'm not getting the validation because I'm doing something else. Oh, I got to do this even more. And then you're some crazy lady screaming on the internet every day. And you're just like,
yeah, that's initially how it started for me. Was at first that, I really enjoyed doing it. And then after it was Trump had won the election, Biden had won the election, and then things kind of died down. But there was a really strong push for me to lean further left. And I was starting to get burnt out, and I kind of started expressing that online, but it was, again, rejected. It was like, no. And so I was like, oh, I want to post about more things about philosophy or things I want to talk about. And it was said, no, you can't do that, or that's not acceptable, or, oh, so now you don't care about politics, you don't care about people. And it was just so overwhelming that I ended up just taking a break for 3 years. On one of my anti-brain rot videos, someone actually commented, you look familiar. Did you do politics? I was like, oh gosh. I said, yes, matter of fact, I did.
You evolved. You're like a Pokemon.
Yeah. I just took a break. I had to take a break. But I think the regret that I have there, I don't think I would have gotten burnt out if I didn't lose the authenticity through it all. Because there came a point where I also got lost in the sauce, which was I saw the videos that were going viral. I got super excited. I saw, ooh, money's coming in. Oh, this is great, and all this stuff. And you just, it's like a literal high that you experience when you see how fast it's working. When you see your followers going up every single second, I mean, there's something about it. You're like, oh, this is sick. Yeah. But I realized then after, when I was really getting burnt out, I was like, this is not what I love doing. And I just became basically, I just became icked out by it. I couldn't do it anymore.
Well, I give you a lot of credit for recognizing and stopping. Most people don't do that. And that's like, and if you break down everything you just said, it's not much of a surprise why everyone's losing their mind on the internet. It's not so surprised why we're so divided. Everyone gets pushed into these corners. The only way you're going to get it more is if you go more extreme. So it's not a surprise, but like, yeah, it takes a lot to like recognize what's happening to you and to stop it and do a little sort of soul searching. So it can happen. So
yeah. So I mean, the way I'm trying to explore it now, which I think I'm trying to take pieces of your advice, I do know that I have to find a little bit more of a niche, but it's like my brain is getting the same fear that it had years ago, which is I'm going to pigeonhole myself, and I don't want to have to be not myself, because Mia right now is a little bit of chaos, a little bit everywhere. But yeah, you have to I guess I'm curious, how do you find the balance, right? Between, I know the algorithm and all that stuff and finding a niche, but also being able to stay true to who you are and your authentic voice.
There's nothing wrong with sandboxing, playing the sandbox. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like because if you're gonna like lean into a niche, and then let's say it's a pod, and it starts getting numbers, and you got to start hiring people. You hire a me or a Colin or someone else, and you're paying money. Then it's a lot. Like, and then you're on the hamster wheel. So it's okay to sandbox. Like we forget that people take a long time to get big. There's actors that didn't get big till they're 50 or 60 years old, right? There's like go read the list of people who got big when they're like later in life. Like it just takes a long time. By the way, I tell myself this all the time when I think I'm a loser. So it's the same thing.
You are not a loser. How long did it take you to get to where you are right now? With all the opportunities,
more than 15 years. Yeah, 15 to 20 years.
Man, got a long ways to go. I'm
37. I've been doing video in some form. Well, I went to college for broadcasting. So let's say if I really got into the industry, I was 22. So I had 15 years. But I mean, I've been doing arts and creative since a teenager. So, but it's also continuing where it's like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to become a banker? No. Want to become a nurse or a doctor? No. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not like, that's what I do. So I'll figure it out somehow. Get a couple lucky breaks along the way. Put yourself in a position.
It's already happening.
Yeah. But I also know how hard I work too. Like, it's one thing I will not shy from is everyone knows me knows I work very hard, much to my detriment recently, but I can outwork most, and it's inspiring because I'm in an office of people who work really hard too, and that's where I like where we work every day, and I always tell people, we're talking about content. The guy Pomp, who, I do all his content and we work with every day. It's like, that's who you're competing against.
Yeah.
And
we got a high benchmark around here. I think everyone does content around here.
So if people don't know about it, Pomp, we do a daily finance show 5 days a week, plus 4 separate pods every week.
Not to mention he has his newsletter.
And then we have newsletters and we have things. So it's like people, it's just like, it's a different level of things. And so it keeps you on track. Like, it's not always like the best. We can certainly go down the road of when it becomes like the toxic workload of it all and the late stage capitalist bullshit, listen, people aren't wrong. Listen, I'm not exactly to sit here and be like, oh, I'm just like working and I'm totally in a fine mental state. Like, a lot of it's cope, a lot of it's like because you want to make something of your life. Most people who try to accomplish something really big have some like sense of like dread of themselves and their lives and their career, and they want to make something of themselves, and there's like that whole thing in your subconscious. Like, there's a lot that goes into people who want to get big in their field. So, but I work hard. So whatever's come my way, will come my way. But I'm also very comfortable with like, I'm not for everybody. Something I've had to like really be comfortable with in the past like year or two. Like, I'm not for everybody. Like, yeah, I'm working all the time, but I'm only working with a small amount of people doing this really unique podcast thing that involves YouTube and Spotify and everything. I'm not like, I'm not managing social media channels. I'm not doing film shoots out in the streets. I'm not doing movies. I'm not doing TV shows. Like, I'm doing this for a small subset of people. So it is like a comfortability of like, I'm for a few people, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And I feel like once you start to make your way up the ladder, you can become a lot more selective, right?
It's actually something I've actually really been happy with myself in the past year or so, because like for so long, especially I can speak to people who in the creative field, you're just always getting dragged to a million different gigs. Like, if you're doing video, for instance, shoot this wedding, here's a product shoot, and film this, and can you make the edit for this? And it's like, you're just doing everything, but you're really doing nothing. So there's a good point of like and I really saw success when I honed in, when I stopped doing other kinds of shit, where I said, no, I'm not going to go and film something. I don't like, people ask me to film things outside in the city. I go, I don't have any cameras. Like, the cameras that are here are my cameras. I don't bring them out. And I have a friend who does it. And so it does help, because it does focus you. And I think there is a big thing at some point you have to focus on everything. But I also can say I did everything for so long. So I've done what you've done. I've done the sandboxing. My sandboxing wasn't trying to get views or grow my social, but like my sandboxing was just trying everything and trying to get gigs. And there's been months where back in the day where I literally needed a couple $100 like that night I wasn't able to pay rent. And I was like, oh, I gotta go film this thing and do it. So I've certainly did those before.
If you could give one last piece of advice to anyone who's starting out the grind or in the middle of the grind, what would it be?
I'll see you in 3 years.
Oh shit!
It's hard. I don't sugarcoat. I have these meetings all the time. It's really, really hard. And some people are going to be different. Some people are going to launch something, and in a couple months, it's just going to fly off the handle, and they found something with some group, and it just worked. Like, I can't control the zeitgeist. It's weird, but like, I don't know how to grow your show in the sense where like, yeah, I know the tools and I know the algorithm and but there's so many things that go into it. So really, if you're that serious about it, I always say, like, are you about that life? Mm-hmm. Are you about that life? Are you about that life? Doing it consistently, doing it for a long time, posting it, and building something real. So many people have shows. So like, one thing I talked about with you once, and you mentioned earlier in the pod, we were talking about, well, some people got big here, but I'm not here. And I go, well, define big. Like, okay, what are their views compared? Like, how are their views actually? Like, if I did like a YouTube breakdown or like a numbers breakdown, how good are they actually doing? Is it sustainable? Are they even going to be around in a couple of years? Right. So now what I focus on in my day to day, I don't focus on like, oh, I'm just recording a podcast. I'm trying to build IPs. I'm trying to build shows. I'm trying to build things that are going to like last for the next 5-10 years. Any show that I work with, I want to work on the next decade, and we grow, and we somehow make, we make a lot of money in the process, and maybe there's a licensing thing that happens, or we sell products, or like there's all these things that come down the road. So I think about building an IP more than just like, I'm going to do a podcast and interview people and put clips on there. So it's a long road. It sucks. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be like, it's easy. Just do it. It's hard, and take it seriously. Take the fucking craft seriously. Like, it's hard. I'm a stickler for that right now. I can't stand people who just don't respect the craft of what they're doing. It pisses me off to no end. Respect it. Like, study it. Study who came before you. Go study Walter Cronkite, assholes. No, but it takes a long time. So just stick with it. Don't be afraid of the early days of sucking. You're supposed to suck. Get better. Take it as a skill acquisition. You can get better at anything. And then as we go along, start to collect data, like what's working, what's not working, and go. But just know you're going to have to do those 100 episodes or those 2 or 3 years, and you're just going to have to go through it. And by the way, maybe it's not your thing. Maybe you do it for a while and it's not your thing. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the biggest thing I always tell people when they start, I go, define success. You really have to define success. So some person walks in, they say, I want to be Diary of a CEO. Well, now you're optimizing for something way different. You're optimizing to be the top 10 podcasts in the world. Okay. Like that's something. But if it's like, hey, I want to do this thing, it's for my organization. I get these really cool guests in that I get to either recruit from my organization. Like for instance, like someone who was just in here, my buddy Andrew Ridgie, who has this hospitality and politics podcast. And he's like, he runs his whole hospitality and restaurant organization in the city where like they basically help restaurants. And he gets to bring all these people in who he works with. And like, it's this very like front facing thing for his organization that he's doing this media, and he got these people in here. And then like it leads to him doing events, and it leads to him doing like getting invited to these things. And, oh, he did the pod here. Like, so the media thing has all these downstream effects that aren't just number go up views. And so like, so you really have to define like, why are you doing it? And that will help you sort of get on the path, and then just, go on the long road.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Matt. It was really awesome to have you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. If anyone wants to use the studio,
you know where to find us, and you know where to find him.
On the Manhattan Lab. Maybe expanding soon.
Studio at the,
Maybe expanding soon.
Oh, we got an exciting thing. Thank you.
Thank you.